Hello, friends. Welcome back to Tea with a Taurus, the podcast where we slow things down, reflect on life's lessons, and find steady ways to grow. Today's episode started with a question that landed in my inbox. I received an email from Breathe for Change, and although I haven't listened to the podcast episode yet, the email included a question that immediately made me stop and think. What helps you stay aligned with your values when the noise gets too loud? And that question stuck with me because lately the noise has been so loud. Not metaphorically loud, not just emotionally loud, but the kind of loud that happens when life and work and everything pile up in a way that throws off your rhythm. And I'm an educator, and if you are too, you know exactly what I mean. The past few weeks at school have been chaotic in that very specific school year way. We've had snow days, we've had weird schedule changes, testing days, and field trips, and guest speakers, and recently we even had a power outage. Each of those things by themselves might seem pretty small, but when they stack up one after the other, something important starts to disappear: our routine. And routine matters more than people sometimes realize. For students, especially neurodivergent students, routine is grounding. It's predictable and it creates safety. And when the rhythm of the day changes over and over again, students feel it. But the truth is, teachers feel it too. Because when routines disappear, the mental load increases. Educators are constantly adjusting. We adapt lessons, we manage emotions in the room, we help students regulate themselves. We hold space for kids who are dealing with far bigger things than school. We also have illnesses and family struggles and stress and even sometimes grief. And we do all of that while trying to maintain a learning environment. It's meaningful work, yes, but it's also heavy work. Research in educator wellness consistently shows that teacher burnout is strongly connected to emotional labor and unpredictable environments. When routines break down, the stress level increases, and teachers experience what psychologists call cognitive overload. In simple terms, our brains get tired from constantly adjusting. And when that happens long enough, the noise gets loud. And when I think of the phrase, the noise getting loud, I don't just think of actual sound. I think of that internal noise, that mental checklist that never ends. The feeling that there are too many things pulling on your attention at once. The moments when you realize you've been reacting all day instead of just being present. And that's when the question from that email come back to me. What helps you stay aligned with your values when the noise gets loud? Because when the noise is loud, it becomes easy to drift away from the very things that matter most: our patience, our presence, our kindness, the balance, and even the joy. One thing that email mentioned was something that educators hear so often, but we don't always practice. We have to address ourselves before we can support our students. It sounds simple, but in practice, it's hard. Teachers are helpers by nature. We are wired to show up for others. We push through exhaustion. We keep going even when we probably should pause. But the truth is something I think we all know deep down. We can't pour calm into a room if we're running on empty. Students don't just learn from what we teach, they learn from how we show up. Lately, I've started to notice the signs that the noise is getting loud for me. Not dramatic signs, just small signals. Feeling mentally scattered, finding it harder to focus. Realizing that I'm carrying the day with me even after work ends. And those moments are reminders. They're signals that it might be time to pause. Not quit, not escape, but simply step back and breathe. And for me, that looks like a very few specific things. When life starts to feel overwhelming, I always come back to the things that ground me. And that starts with nature for me. A long, quiet hike, no rush. Just moving through the woods and letting my brain slow down. Nature has a powerful effect on our nervous system. Studies from environmental psychology show that spending time outdoors can significantly reduce stress hormones and restore mental focus. But beyond the research, there's something else happening. When you're in nature, the world feels bigger again. The noise starts to fade. Another thing that I love to do is bake, and lately it's been sourdough everything. There's something really calming about working with my hands and mixing the ingredients and then patiently waiting for that process of the dough rising and then folding and all of those things. It's just the time for me to focus on something other than myself. Baking reminds me that good things take time, and sometimes slowing down is exactly what I need. Another piece of staying aligned with our values is remembering our boundaries. And I know, the word boundaries is thrown around a lot, but boundaries aren't about pushing people away. They're about protecting the energy that allows us to keep showing up. And for educators, especially, boundaries look like closing your laptop at a certain time each day, taking a walk instead of grading one more assignment, letting yourself rest without feeling guilty about it. Because when we care deeply about our work, it's easy to believe that doing more equals doing better. But that's not always true. Sometimes doing better means stepping away for a moment so you can return clearer and steadier. At the end of the day, that's what I keep coming back to. Sometimes the most responsible thing we can do for the people who depend on us is take a breather, step outside, rest, reconnect with the things that bring us back to ourselves. Because when we do that, we don't just help ourselves. We show up better for everyone else too, for our families, for our coworkers, and yes, even for our students. So if the noise feels loud in your life right now, I want to leave you with the same question that started this whole episode. What helps you stay aligned with your values when the noise gets too loud? Maybe it's a hike. Maybe it's baking. Or maybe it's sitting quietly with a cup of tea, letting your mind slow down. Whatever it is, give yourself permission to return to it. Because taking care of yourself isn't stepping away from your purpose, it's protecting it. Thank you for spending a few minutes with me today. If this episode resonated with you, feel free to share it with someone who might need a reminder to pause and breathe. And until next time, take a deep breath, stay steady, and take care of yourself.